Vocal Dialect. We are back. Our other brothers are here as well. We got brother Shaka San Kofa. We also have brother Kinwater Moore, as well as brother Gerald. We're gonna discuss and talk about the black community today. How everybody doing out there, family, you know. So we're really gonna be talking about the black community and the global face of its systematic racism, also discrimination and the violence that rooted in colonialism. We're gonna be dealing with white supremacy and anti-Blackness. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's in United States, UK, Brazil, France, South Africa, or the Middle East. Us as a people are are affected by police brutality, economics, uh, health, health disparities, as well as social exclusion. So the global pattern reflects deeply entrenched, dealing with structures that continue to devalue us as a people, and also limited opportunities. I tell a lot of people we were not always given a fair shake, despite a lot of resistance. And not just only that though, the culture vultures. Even though we may face certain things in the public, but we get people who come in and try to profit off of us as a people, and those are the ones who are the culture vultures. Who try to take what we do on an everyday basis or what we learn in our struggle on a worldwide global scale, take it and profit from it. We have to watch out for those culture vultures, and that's the other part of it that we have to get as a people as well, dealing with the business aspects of it. Because with us dealing with the business aspects of it, we can learn about certain things that will be definitely profitable to us as a people. Definitely, trademarking certain phrases, trademarking certain ideals. Those things are beneficial to us as a people, because one thing I have learned is the only weapon that we do have as a people is doing business. And when we get through dealing with all of that, we still have to deal with the trauma in the black community, rooted in a long history of oppression and dealing with slavery, racism, police brutality, and economic inequality. So I often also say to us as a lot of people, dealing with us as a people is we have never dealt with our trauma that we do have. You get what I'm saying? Peace and power, brother Shaka, and peace and power to our guests as well. But
Peace.
we have
That's
to
my
deal,
later.
and there's a lot of issues that we have to deal with as a people, and at the same time, we're not given the proper time to deal with anything. It seems as if we have one event after another, and a lot of times, 90% of the times, it's not beneficial to us. I want to introduce our guest for tonight, brother Thoedore Muhammad. How you doing, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing fine, brother. All praises be to Allah. Hummus to Allah. Yes, sir. I'm doing fine.
Peace, brother. Peace. Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from, and what you're doing in the community.
Okay, well, I'm a native of Washington, D.C. My upbringing primarily was in what we call Palmer Park. We call it the East Coast Compton, and come from a long tribe of events. Brother Shaka been knowing me all my life, and so he knows that how I was in the streets and those type of things. But I kind of uh, found some place to rest my head in peace. After many years, I did about 30 years. I've been with the nation for about 30 years, Nation of Islam, uh, following those teachings, and I'm a teacher myself. I teach in Prince George's County Public Schools. I started occupational skills programs in the school system. I started something called the African American Network back in 1991 after the Rodney King incident. Shut down highways, done shows and job fairs, and started school programs and fed the homeless, and worked with the youth and worked with the seniors, and been working my grassroots primarily in the barber shop. Been working in the same 100 block for over 50 years of what we call Sea Pleasant, Maryland, right at the district line. We call it the line. So I've been there, that's where my grassroots come up from. I was an old fighter out of Palmer Park, first crew with Ray Leonard, and a lot of the fighters out of that area. And, I graduate DC public schools, city champ in the city. But my primary focus has been on our people.
Okay.
It's enough about me. But I would be remiss if I didn't go into the fact that I'm a home builder. So we've been trying to build homes. I'm a real estate broker, been providing homes for people for over 30 years. Started out doing loans, and because of usury and because of my faith, I got away from that. But doing things to help people in housing, education, employment. But I come from a history of my father was a political prisoner. In 1968, he was locked up for going in the White House. And in 68, we just didn't do those type of things. We didn't show up at the White House. And they put him away until he died. But he was a biochemist. Worked at NIH, was part of what they call Mission Mind Control, where they experimented on 120 Black men. And he was one of those people. So my roots come from rough times, older of three, elders of three, and, trying to make a pathway for the younger generation. And that's what I've been doing all my life, pretty much. So Brother Shaka and I, over the years, we've been sharpening our blade with one another and trying to do what we can in the community. But I did I'm not gonna say stepped aside, I stepped into the nation, and when there was no President Obama, was no Million Man March, was no Black Lives Matter, no Gerald Floyd, and now our people are seemingly talking more unity than they were at that time 30 years ago. So I came back in, opened up my office. My office is about 3 blocks from the White House. Have another office up in Rockville. Still in the shop, still doing some things with the kids. I've been approved for a boxing program in the public school system. So, that's my background. That's who I am. But I'm all about this struggle till I die. So, that's me.
Right. All right. What's your thoughts on us in the community? Us as a people.
Well, it's our time. We just had to realize it. The unity of the Black man, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the unity of the Black man is stronger than the atom bomb. And there's 2 secrets they kept from us, which was the mother plane and the atom bomb. But we have grasp of both of them now. We have knowledge, we have foresight, we have hindsight. We just got to pull together and work a plan, and make our plan work. Nothing can stop us. They've tried everything they can do to stop us. The only thing, our problem is ourselves. If God says to us that my people perish for a lack of knowledge, then that's letting us know that God's people, they die. They're going to die. They're going to die. So that's a sad time for our community, but that's not all of us. That's just some of God's people that refuse to learn, refuse to move forth, refuse to be like Joshua said, was told. My mighty people, get the courageous men and go across and take the land. Not wait for them to give it to us. Not wait on a false promise and false expectations, but we got to take the land. And how do we take it? We take it through unity. You know, that's our strength. That's our hope. We don't, you know, it's not all of the things that we might perceive in our mind that it might be. It's just the unity of the black man and the black woman. That's our riches. That's our wealth. It's been everybody else's riches and wealth. So
you don't think that you don't think that the American dream is every ethnic group living off of black people?
Oh, that's been their dream. It haven't been ours. You know, we have yet to dream about what we could be. I put it this way. We've been out of slavery 160 years. You know, we haven't been unified, period. But yet we're the 8th richest nation in the world, but we've never been unified. So if we became unified in 100 years, we will surpass all of them, because every society was built off of us. There's not a society on the planet, a civilization on the planet that didn't learn how to be civilized from us. So it was pertinent that they made us uncivilized so they could look like they civilized. So their wealth comes from what? All our inventions, all our work, all our labor, free labor for 300 years, you know, making us ignorant, making us fall for all the tricks, you know, the lies and the deceitfulness that Satan can bring. But when we walk in the knowledge of God, walk in the fear of God, walk in unity, there's nothing we can't do and we can't have. You know, that's putting ourselves in heaven at once. You know, and once we put ourselves in heaven, which is inside of us, you know, that's where Jesus said that heaven is inside of you. So when we turn and believe in ourselves and know who we are ourselves and walk in who we are, then, you know, we don't have to worry about them, because we'll come out from amongst them, because they can't stand for us to be ahead of them. They can't stand for us to have what we're supposed to have. We can't even stand it. So, you know, when we walk that way, we get everything we're supposed to get.
I got a question, brother. How you doing? I'm Ken Watto. Like I heard you speak, like as the world is today, society is today. Do you think we will ever, as a people, be unified, brother?
Do we ever do what?
As a people, be unified, stand in unity.
Well, I think we're in unity now. I think that us on this phone call right now, we're standing in unity whether we recognize it or not. He said, "With two or more gathered together in my name, there I'll be in the midst." So either we believe the power of ourselves and the power of the word that came from out of us, or we doubt. And I believe that, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot of us to make a change, to make unity. We have over 40 million blacks in this country. When the Million Man March was called, it was 2 million. Out of the 2 million that came, I say maybe 300,000 of them were serious about their vow. If that. But I can't worry about what everybody else do. I went to people who was in jail. I started making, and they're still doing it, working with people coming from out of incarceration. I started school programs. I opened up jobs and businesses, went to all the women I had dogged out, asked them to forgive me, tried to make home the best place I can make it. You know, stop doing all the running and hoeing and drinking and smoking and stuff that I had been doing. So now we're creeping up on the 30-year anniversary. How many of us can go back and look and say, well, we started schools, we started businesses, we start showing love to our sons the way we're supposed to. If we do that which we promised, then we can see people changing and coming along behind us because we're keeping our word. People only follow people who they trust and believe in. And they have not been able to trust and believe in us as black men because we never showed ourselves to be worthy. But here today, You know, black men are taking care of their kids. Black men are, you know, billionaires and millionaires and, you know, showing some type of standard in regards to godliness. So I have to say, it's going to happen. But for everybody, nah. Because I tell you why. The root of, this is my belief, the root of our believers, the most serious of us as God-fearing people, a lot of them come from the church. And of the best of the church, from my perspective, I don't have to be right, but I came up through the Baptist church and went into Holiness Church, and so because I'm trying to follow holiness. But what I see is this: the Word of God, what it says that in that day, many shall say, "Didn't I cast out devils? Didn't I prophesy? Didn't I lay my hands on the sick?" He said, "I don't know you. Depart from me. You're a work of iniquity." If he's saying my people are perishing, and the best of us who try to do the best that we can, how are we working in iniquity? So some people are not going to make it. We can just face that. Some people are not going to be unified with us because those are the same ones who dispute one another over teaching that we got from somebody. I don't care if it's Islam. I don't care if it's Christianity or Judaism. We got it all from the white man. And we have to put this to work for us here in America as black men in the hells of Satan. We have to understand that all these things work together for the good of us who love God. All this stuff work together for us. We were brought here for it to work for us. And so, I feel good in knowing that we live in this time because it's a time when it all makes sense to us. The word says that Elijah Muhammad said, the word would be made so simple, even a fool could understand it. So, that's where I see it as being now. Fools are starting to understand. It may be. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, now I'll let you finish what you were saying before I ask you.
No, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. I think that, we have some hard-headed, stiff-necked people, or we would have never been in America from Jump Street. God saw us as hard-headed and stiff-necked, and he told us that that's how we be. We're rebellious people. And that he told us, he said, look, I'm going to send you. If we read the scriptures, it said, I'm going to send. There's only one place in the Bible it says, I'm going to send you and then name the person. Now, if he say I'm going to send them and then you believe in what the Bible say and you don't accept it, then you're a hard-headed, stiff-necked person. So either I believe it or I don't. Either I'm rebellious or I'm not. Either I'm going to change or I'm not. And he said everything's going to change. Everything's going to be made brand new. So don't follow, it says don't follow the teachings of your foreparents. Well, if I keep hanging on to the teaching of my foreparents and my foreparents were deceived, they was deceived and taught how to teach us. And they didn't treat their own sons right. And they darn sure didn't teach our fathers right. So they sure not going to teach us right. So we've been misteaching our own people. And now this is why I go to teach. Because I understand one thing, that it takes, like Jesus said, go to the babies. Because you're going to lose a whole bunch of these old hard heads. You just got to let them go. It's going to take a new mind. It's going to take a new heart. It's going to take a new way of understanding. It's going to take, it's going to take unity. But you're not going to get everybody to unify. So, you can't. You throw your rod out in the water. Somebody bite, they bite. But I tell you how I see things from the perspective that I'm looking at them now. It's like compounded interest. When you throw your rod out there, you throw a seed, if it's a good seed, somebody else gonna take that same seed and throw it. I teach school. When I teach kids, I look at how I see my results is when the parents come back and tell me what the lesson said. Or the sisters and brothers come back and tell me the impact it has had on their sister or brother. Then I know I'm an effective teacher.
Yeah.
You know, I can see it taking place away from the setting because as a teacher, I'm a master barber. I thought when I started teaching, because I was a master barber, that I could teach. No, that's not right. You have to learn how to be a teacher. And you never learn how to teach until the students start to teach you. They teach you through the questions they ask and the answers that they provide. So I don't know what I think I know because I'm always learning from somebody who's building upon the foundations that were already laid. So
all right, let's switch gears for. I mean, I want to talk about a major issue that affects us as individuals in the community, and pretty much how we are being perceived and treated, and even how us as a people view ourselves. You know, this is a major topic, and this topic is the misrepresentation of Black people. You know, dealing with the media, politics, education, and you know the deeply disconnect and rooted stereotypes, and a lot of things that's happening in history, and people having systematic bias. So, what are your thoughts on the misrepresentation of the Black man as far as in the public?
that question to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I strongly believe in the misrepresentation of us because, but I think a lot of it is true because we're so mixed up and been so deceived. But everybody who appears to be Black is not Black. You know, we got a whole lot of white men walking around in Black bodies. And we got we have a whole bunch of niggas walking around in a Black man's body.
Hey, hold up. Hey Ken, we got to get that bomb button on here, man.
Oh yeah.
But you know,
I agree. You're 100% right, brother.
Yeah.
And you know, truth bear witness with truth. You know, we know the truth when we hear it. And you know, if it's not truth, then you know, we have to be men enough to be able to say I was wrong. You know, so we can be wrong. Because we becoming gods. You know, we're not Almighty God. We on our way. We gods, sons of the Most High God. And as we grow in that, we become more of the proper representation of that Black man that you was asking about. But coming into this world that's shaped in sin and we're being brought up in iniquities, all of that is geared towards us being ignorant, mistaught, miseducated, ununified, unorganized, unlearned, or the whole 9 yards, right? But the more we grow in godliness, the more we become like God. You know, I used to pray all the time because the Bible said, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God thought it not robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation and humbled himself. Okay, so I used to pray that prayer a whole lot. But now I understand what Jesus did. Jesus wanted the mind of God. So why should I ask for the mind of Jesus when my information in regards to Jesus is so limited? So when I look at the Bible, I have 3 years and 2 stories. When I look at the Quran, if I look at the circle 7, I got 18 years of his life that's not there. If I read the Quran, I got some. But he as a whole is the example of the fact that seek the mind of God. So I seek the mind of God, and God, give me your mind. roll your mind down into my mind. And that way I can transform not only my sphere, but everything I come in contact with. So that's my prayer. And I'm just hoping God finds me worthy enough to put his mind in me like he did Christ. Because then, you know, and I feel more blessed than him because he died at what, 30 some years old? I'm 60 something. So, you know, maybe there's a reason. I used to, you know, there's a scripture that says, blessed is the man who pray, come quick, Lord. So I'm like this, you know, if I want to see God, I can't be afraid to die. You know, so I understand that I wasn't counted worthy enough. So I have something to do while I'm here to make myself worthy enough to be able to be in his presence, but also maybe make myself or allow him to make me worthy enough that I might even have his thoughts. Because his thoughts are not my thoughts. His ways are not my ways. His thoughts are much higher than mine. So if I seek those things above that are in the mind of God, then I have the better chance of maybe unifying with some brothers that are like-minded. Maybe making some things change. Because my day, you know, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. And really don't care. You know, because I do what I do now, and whatever, you know, when I'm done, I just done all I could do. You know, just try to make things better for those who left behind. But, you know, if a man ain't found something worth dying for, he ain't fit to live. So that's how I feel about us as a misconceived Black people, because I know most people don't think this way. Most Black men don't think. I'm not saying there's not some out there that are like that, because I know they are. I know God just ain't made, you know, me. So I know it's other brothers out there that are like-minded, but finding where they are is, you know, is so relevant to me, because I know that that's where things get done. You know, things change when we have a unity of the same mind. So, but most people, you know, let's look at outside of our country, how people look at us. They say that we're not worthy to be even existing because of the propaganda that they show. The Million Man March showed us in a different light. You know, but all in all, the world has seen us as niggas. You know, they seen us as not worthy to live. Everybody comes to our community, they mistreat us, they misunderstand us, you know, they think that we are lazy and slowful. You know, so even our women, they don't give us no respect as gods. Man, I don't even, it's hard. At one particular time in my life, I used to see some of that. I don't see any of that no more.
It's a lot. It's a lot to that.
You know.
Yeah. You know, I don't see any of that.
Excuse me now, brother Theodore, how you doing? This Gerald Moore.
Yes, sir, bro. How you doing, brother? Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, glad to meet you. Hey, I was listening to you talk about the fact that us being misrepresented and with other countries how they perceive us. Right. Now, when you think about it, don't you think that to some extent they are correct, because we do become complicit with the politicians, with all the egregious things they do to other countries. Yes, they rape them, they rob them, they plunder them, they do the things that they do to them. So don't you think that to a certain degree they have it? And the one question I did want to ask you was that you spoke about the Bible when you said Joshua, and they told Joshua and them to go in the land of Canaan, right, to fight against the people. Right. How do we approach the people? Because we don't have the armament that they have. So how do we approach them? Is it in truth, or does it take what we need to take up arms?
Well, brother, your first tongue is correct. Because the most powerful thing, listen, sooner or later, if you became the head, you would have to eventually defend, because there's always going to be somebody who's going to come along and take what you have. Okay. Mm-hmm. But that is not what we have been told to do. We've been told to use the word of truth, which separates sin from righteousness. Okay. We've been told that it's God's battle and God will do what he have to do himself. Mm-hmm. So he said vengeance was his. So if we allow him the space to do his deeds as he has promised, then that will happen that way. But whenever we step out of the line, out of commandment with God, we have to deal with the repercussions of it. I think that we tend to take the word of God too lightly, as if God's not a person of his own word. So when my way of looking at it is this: if there's any truth to the way the scriptures was written, thousands of years ago, he said that we would be taken out of a land that's not our own. We'd be in bondage for 400 years. Now, we didn't live 4,000 years ago to see the children of Israel as they claim it happened. But there are indications that they came across dry ground. It didn't say that. It said they will come up by ship. It says that I will send you someone from Mount Paran. I will send you Elijah. I will do even up to the day where we look at the wars, the rumors of wars, all these type of things. Over the thousands of years, we see that the trans-American slave trade, in my opinion, is the dividing line between the prophets of old and us. You take Muhammad and you take Jesus. They on the other side of the trans-American slave trade. So everything on that side of the slave trade had their time. Ain't no use to worry about them. They had their time. Over here in the Quran, it says that God has to send every people a messenger, or he cannot judge the world the way he promised. So I see this side of the trans-American slave trade being something that we have to take to heart, to realize that God's about his business. And the reason why I say that, I can't just look at it as a kidnapping and then we get over here and then 160 years we've got billionaires. No other people on the planet have ever got this wealthy, this fast, in so short of a period of time. We have done more than any people out of slavery in numbers have done. So looking at information, the way it travels now compared to then, looking at how we travel compared to then, looking at all of these things that have transpired, I have to realize that somewhere in that, I got to let God have his space to do. When I started the network, my whole thing was, if 25 Hispanics ran up in my house, could I get 25 brothers to handle that? That was my thought. Because I didn't handle 25 brothers that ready to do nothing. So over the years, I've ran into a lot of people, they supposedly got everything, everything that they need to start a war. I look at probably one of the thoroughest ones is John Muhammad, because he ain't talk, he did it. Supposedly it's supposed to have been 3 crews that went and did what they did, but I don't see a whole lot of that going. Now, I know some brothers out there that's like that, but they, that I don't advocate trying to do that when you got people like Trump. You got people like, these people out here that they listening on our phones. We know they're listening. We know that they out in front of our houses. We know that they. I don't advocate because our technology in hand is not that sophisticated where we that unified to even think like that.
Right. Let me just interject, if you don't mind. I don't want to cut your wisdom, but I appreciate your the Jews that you've been dropping and your portion of understanding. But I want to briefly just unpack a few things pertaining to what Ken Wilder was talking about as far as the unification of our people. And most of our people are not going to it's not going to be unification with the large amount of our people. And so we have to figure out a way to actually take those who are willing to unite and unify, and then we can create a system that will not only make preparations but lay a foundation down for those who are coming after us. And when we were talking about far as how we're going to deal with these people, I know Gerald was talking about armor, military forces and things of that nature. Well, we're going to have to look at this because we've tried everything else. We tried bagging, we tried singing, and we haven't tried swinging, but we've tried all these other things and bagging and pleading. And I'll use an example. If you're in school and a bully takes your lunch money, what are your chances of him not taking it again or not even paying you back what he took from you if you just write him a note and ask, could you have the money back? Opposed to dealing with the bully. A lot of times, and when we tap into our goddess selves, we tap into our God selves, and we are the original people. We are the supreme beings of the planet, meaning that we have supremacy over everything. We have rulership. We have strength because we created everything. And the way that we have to understand that is we have to tap into our goddess selves. When they speak on Jesus and they speak to Christ, this is the Christ consciousness. And when they say Jesus will return, the gods have returned. We have returned. We are here now. This is why we have these forms and we're building these ciphers and stuff. The gods have returned. It's just a matter of us being effective enough to reach the masses of the people through our works and our deeds and our actions. Because the days of just these soapbox speeches and stuff like that, I think they've become obsolete to a high degree. And like you said, when I've been knowing you forever, and I've seen the work that you've done. I've seen the effectiveness. I've seen the results. I've seen how other people have prospered from the work that you put in, and which a lot of people don't really understand how much white knuckling it takes to do to be able to be in a position to help others and assist others of coming out of the muck and mire mentally, physically, and spiritually. But when we're dealing with us as a whole, the way they have us situated, we're economically castrated, we're morally bankrupt. We're in spiritual turmoil. And that's not including PTSD from slavery, PTSD from being in the streets, substance abuse, child molestation, poverty, unemployment, mass incarceration, miseducation, lack of education. Um, these are formulas and components that has been strategically set up by these diabolical devils that's been implanted in us to create a cocktail of self-hatred and hatred for our reflections. So it's, the process of detoxing from those particular mindsets and those particular energies, um, which is the process. Because when you look at all of us on this live, all of these great men on this live, they have done some major great things in terms of helping our people rise above the mental and spiritual slavery that we're under. We're still in bondage. We're still in bondage. 1865 just meant you're not going to have no chains around your legs, but you're not free either, because there's no resources available. There's nothing for you to actually, become the men and women that the Most High have sent you to be. So, if you look at it in prison terms, we're just like on parole in terms of where we stand at on all aspects of society. We're basically on parole. We can go and buy cars and go and buy homes and stuff, but how dare us step up to the plate like we're doing and be relentless and fearless and have knowledge and have caught on to these diabolical plans and these agendas that they've been pushing. And one of the main things you said, in which I hold no bars or no cut cards with on my show, is these jigaboos, these niggas, these white men in in blackface, that we go hook, line, and sinker for, putting them in positions, in political positions, celebrating them in sports, honoring them, having our children pay $200 and $300 for their football, basketball jerseys and their tennis shoes, and then they go and instead of being an example to our young men, to link up with a sister that's a reflection of their mother, they'll go get the oppressor's grandchildren and they'll marry into them, and contaminate not only genetically, not only in our DNA, but contaminate the minds of our children. And this is why they had those the black doll, white doll things, where they have our children saying that the white doll is prettier than the black doll, because this is what's been perpetuated in the media and in sports. So, it's going to take. Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I was agreeing with you. It's gonna take a lot of work. Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of work, and I got to go back with Brother Muhammad. The unity at some point, we will conquer. We will win. We will win at some point. It just takes a lot of gelling. It takes a lot of alleviation. It takes a lot of mental detoxing from all these isms and schisms and all of these different energies and demonic energies that we have incorporated. The selling of our souls, and all the things that go with that. So we will, but everybody's not gonna make it. It's just that simple. It's just that simple, and it's going to be the vast majority.
Right.
The vast majority.
Can I say something real fast? It's like eating an elephant. You only can do this one bite at a time. By us, talking about conquering, even though that might be that is going to be the end result, because their demise is already in motion, put there by God. But the first thing we got to do is come out from amongst them. We got to get unified. You know, it's steps to being victorious in this war. You know, and in those steps, you take one, he take two. You know, it takes even preparing your heart for. I mean, I'm gonna tell you now. I done wrote the last three presidents. I just wrote Trump last week because you know, this goes back 100 years for me. You know, dealing with these people in the White House. You know, my father, my 3-4 generations. That my name is Theodore Roosevelt because of relationships with Booker T. Washington with Theodore Roosevelt back in 1930s. You know, so you know, I'm rooted and grounded in it. I sued Trump, won. Obama wrote him. He stole stuff from me. Biden released some money for me, $100,000 off student loan debt. But none of these things would have happened if I never took this initiative. If I never had the testicle fortitude to be involved in the political process on the level that I felt that I needed to, because you know I'm not into that politic thing. When I was going to school as a young kid, 17, 18, I want to be in politics, but I realized how crooked it is. So I had to make my political stands other ways. You know, I didn't join the nation because I didn't want to fight. You know, when you come to the nation, everybody's a soldier. You know, so you can't be afraid to fight. The thing is that, you know, when you look about and you see what the brothers are doing inside and outside the nation, listen to the military. He tell you, you know, everybody ain't doing what they're supposed to do. And, you know, the nation is much bigger than the mosque. So the unity is going to take place outside of the mosque, but there are a lot of good things that must happen because we don't have any others as unified, except for maybe the Hebrew brothers, you know, and, you know, I'm pretty sure the same thing applies there because we all come from the same slave master. You know, we all come from the same books. The same faith that's been given down to us, been handed down. And so, you know, it's just a matter of dealing with one thing at a time. We're only out of slavery 160 years. And look what we had to deal with in this 160 years. You know, how many of those real old soldiers still stand and fight? You know, you know, we the old soldiers now. You know, we are the seniors. You know, so if we don't build it, they won't have it. Because nobody built nothing for us.
Right.
You know, so economically, we have to come together, buy land, build properties, build businesses so that these people can eat and work and live. You know, we have to, you know, be mindful of the fact that you can't do nothing in a capitalist society without using money, even though their money ain't worth 5 pennies.
Mm-hmm.
The money is not worth anything. The money, they're living off of consumer confidence and they're pumping that up every other month. They have to try to make money to save the economy. The only way our economy works if we have war. So they're trying to go into Iran. So they're trying to get involved. They're trying to fight here on the streets, man. Trump them brought the tanks to the streets to take the money. You know, so, you know, we had to really look at this thing for what it is, you know, and know that we can't have these kind of conversations on the phone. You know, we got to man up and just say, look, we're gonna meet and everybody be about their word, and your word is your bond, and your bond is life, and let nobody's bond burn down. You know, that's
I got it. You know, let me ask you this also. I know, man, Shaka, we have
one second, Gerald. 1 second before you ask him. You know, once you ask him the question, he answer it. Everybody, go ahead, get your final remarks on the show. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. All right, no problem. Brother Thid,
Yes, sir.
me and Shaka get into a conversation. We always on the phone talking about world events and things of that nature, and what's transpiring. And you mentioned the fact of it is, and I say that for us as a people in unification, see, we always, as you said, God would always send a messenger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's Ezekiel or it's Jonah or whoever,
Right,
all of them
right,
came to prophesy, to tell us
right.
how to get that, to come out of that subjugation of mindset that we in.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about? And I know people don't like to hear this, Akino, about Abra and Toure, that's not doing that. He's fighting against every sort of system of destruction, because how they poisoned this country, killing people, desolated the area, the land, and poisoned the land. And he got rid of those people.
Right.
So now, and he's doing it on a daily basis.
Right.
But do you not believe that that's a reference that we can go by, something we can look to? Because now he's doing it on every level. If he have to fight the war, and he also get into conversations with him, but he does not lose his composure.
Well,
and he stays truthful to himself and with his people.
Right.
So
I mean, I
do you
think
think
that
that's something we can follow?
I think that you have to have revolution in a society that's born and bred off of revolution. The thing is that you have to have, just like it was told to Joshua, you got to have mighty and courageous men. You know, I always look at the Battle of Medea, when all the men got killed, the women dressed up like men and they fought. And they won. You know, with us, there's a very good chance that our women be the strongest warriors. But you can't get them to be your strongest warriors in love with this white society, in love with the teachings that they've been given. So, you know, something that's happened with us hasn't happened with any other society. Mass destruction like no place else on the planet. And the healing process after 140, 160 years, I'm not sure we've gotten to that place as of yet. I think our mental and spiritual capabilities are coming back to us. A mind of who we really are is coming back to us. But I don't think we're strong enough at this point, and maybe in me and your life, to realize that. You know, but time moves so fast nowadays with technology and things like that, that what it might take 200 years ago to do it, it might take 5. You know, so I won't say that it can't be done. I say that the minds of those who imagine that have to be able to have a mind to bring it into fruition, and have to have the capability to bring it in. You know, that's economically, you know, you got to have the financial fortitude and those type of things to be able to realize your dream. Because it's one thing to dream, is another thing to bring it into reality. You know, the faith is good, but the works are greater. You know, so I think God is pleased with that kind of mind. I think he'll make provisions for that kind of mind, you know, but the spirit is always willing and the flesh is always weak, you know. So I think that, you know, with great planning, with an economical plan, because the network that I set up is an economic network. I haven't yet to tap into the being able to obtain the financial wherewithal needed to be able to move the way I would like to move. But I know, like I was talking about compounded interest, it doesn't take me and the people that I know to make it come to fruition. It may be somebody who you know that somebody else know that might have the wherewithal to bring it to fruition. So, you know, it's not always what we know. Sometimes it's just who we know. You know, and as that spear grows and it becomes like a, a pathogenic germ, and it starts to spread and it starts to eat up all of that falsehood around it, then then I think it's very real that it could happen. I think it must happen, but I think that he's on another soil altogether. I think America's soil is a very rich soil. It's a very young country, and I think we own it because of our labors and so forth. And so I think that we own a portion of this country. It's hard to say we own everything now because we don't, we just haven't proved that to be a fact. But we entitled, I think reparations is something that we definitely need to continue to push even harder. I have been part of the campaign that went to the UN. I've dealt with brothers in regards to reparations. I haven't been as deep as I like to be and as committed as I like to be to trying to fight for reparations, but I know we're entitled to it because of all the hurt, harm, and damage that has come unto us. And I think that we need that kind of resource with land and money and education to be able to fortify our fight. But, what's going to get us there is unity because we're so divided on reparations. There's just a talk of reparations we're divided on, and that's your foundation. You must have land. You must have resources to make the land work. You must have education because we don't even think it's beneficial to be farmers and, to be able to, you see what's happening in California now? They're going in and taking the farmer, they're taking that helping hands off of the farm. Now, who hired them from Jump Street to be out there plucking if they're illegal? So we have to find that workforce that we need. We need that unity, and it can happen for us real fast because it's not like they provided those type of vehicles for Black men. If Black men say we're going to build our own community and build our own network, and it'll happen overnight. It could be like them fires out west because we just have the mind to do for self instead of depending on them for everything that we get, waiting for the opportunity to be able to bring all these things to fruition. We can't look for their resources. We have our own resources. We built this society. We can do it again. We can do it for us. In the past, they always try to tear it down, destroy it. What's to say they're not going to try to do it again? They may, but that can't stop us from doing it. We have come too passive. I go back and look during the 60s when, like I was telling, my father went into the White House and stuff like that. You know how many Black men got on the porch or ran in the house? The big dogs run in the yard. Little dogs stay on the porch. We got a whole lot of men that like to stay on the porch, stay up underneath of their women's dress, that kind of stuff. All they want to do is drink, look at sports, and talk a bunch of nonsense, smoke cigars. We got to be big and better than that. The Quran says that sports and play is the destruction of the people. That's all we want to do is play. I look at the little kids. All they want to do is play, play, play. Old men, play, play, play. Any kids 30, 40 years old, got kids and grandkids. All they want to do is play, play, play. There's never been a time like that for our people. We can't get nothing done like that. They got so they don't even want to have a house no more. All they want to do is rent.
Right.
They don't own no land. They don't want to work the land. You know, God made man and told him to till the ground. He ain't tell him nothing else but to till the ground. How you gonna till the ground if you don't work? He intended for us to work.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Go ahead, fellas. Give your final remarks before we end the show.
Well, Brother Muhammad, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Really enjoyed your eloquent talk. You gave us a good landscape for people to take advantage of. Your monologue was beautiful about telling about what it is we should pay attention to, how we can unify, how we should be able to pay attention to ourselves as well as the things around us. Because as you say, we are gods and we do have the ability to change things. But if we don't implement them, there'll be no change. But we know, as you said, now when you read, as you said, what the scriptures do say too, where you think there's peace, there is no peace. And we got to understand that also.
Yes,
so
sir.
if we're going to create turbulence, it's going to have to be here first.
Yes, sir.
And then we're going to think about the other things.
Yeah. But we, you know, let me say this real quick. Let me just add on. We not the aggressor. But when they fight with us, we fight till we win. You know, so I never run from a fight. I've been a fighter all my life.
You and me both.
Hey, I get knocked down, I'm gonna get back up, you know. But
that's right. That's right. I don't know what it's like to run. I don't know what it's like to run. I'll take an ass whooping before I run anywhere.
Yeah.
Brother Shaka.
Yeah, I appreciate Brother Muhammad. He already knows what it is, and he always has some divine positive energy to share wherever he's at in all his travels. So, you know, I appreciate the brother for taking the time to you know, introduce himself to another level of not only social media, but those who you know, may be in dire straits mentally and spiritually and emotionally. So I appreciate that, brother. I love that brother dearly.
Love you too, bro. Love you too. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, brother, thanks for coming on, tuning in to the show, man. We appreciate that. You taking the time out to drop them jewels, man. Time you want to come on, you know how to brother T-Shaka Sankofa. And also thanks to the people that was in the live chat, you know, that continue to hear our program, listen to our programs and supporting the show. Hit that like button, you know. And you could also follow Vokal Dialect on IG, TikTok, and Facebook as well. And follow the brother T-Shaka Sankofa. He come on weeknights between 8 and 8:30 p.m. usually. But go to Facebook and follow T-Shaka Sankofa. He gonna give it to you raw and uncut. That's it.
Can I leave my site address as
sir.
well?
Yeah.
It's called African American Network Community Association, but you get on it by capital A, small a, NCA.org. AANCA.org. It's anchor.org.
All right, my brother. We thank you for coming on to the show. And for the people, elevation and manifestations of the mind is very important in this day and time. Consciousness, you must unlearn in order to learn. Media, multi-ethnic destruction in America, maniac European devils in action. Stay affirmed, stay ready, and keep you some positive affirmations. This is Vokal Dialect, and we're saying peace.
Peace.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum.